coffee with Nick Black. It's time to chit chat. You know nothing about blockchain. We here to fix that. You want the news on them new stocks? This where you get that. So go and grab you a nice chair. It's time to sit back and talk to profit. Hey, hey, you talking to the prophet? Hey, hey, we talking condos and nice clothes and driving Lambos. I remember them night codes, we couldn't stand those. We tried to drive on them house roads, but had to stay low. Now there's solutions to hard bills we couldn't pay for. I talked to profit to get some profit, we couldn't change the top. If it's a stock and I need a cop it, I'll wait for him to drop it. Ain't no option to...
And we are live with Nick Black in 5, 4, 3, 2, all the way to 1.
I have a Brandon. Okay, listen. This is just between me and you for a minute, all right?
All right, I'll make sure. Hold on, let me mute us so that nobody can hear us. What's going on, Nick? Tell me.
Idea. We are gonna make a fortune. Okay.
Okay, I'm listening.
You ready? There's a little field outside of LA, and it's got these fluffy white balls of, I don't know what it is. It's fluffy white stuff. It feels cottony. I'm not sure what it
Where's
is.
this headed? Where is this headed?
Listen, we're going to pick these. We're going to get the little bits. We're going to string them together into strings. We're going to make ropes, little bitty ropes out of them, and we're going to make clothing. We're going to make clothing out of this material, and we're going to sell it. I figure it'll take us 5 or 6 hours per shirt. That's after we've got it all picked. Listen, we're going to sell the shirts for $200 or $300 a shirt. White shirts. It's the same you can get at Ross for $3, but we're going to sell them for $200 or $300. Handmade, bro. Okay. You in?
Okay.
You in?
I don't know where this is headed, but I like it. Only because I'm interested in the opportunity to do something fun.
See? It's opportunity.
This is great.
We're going to spend all of our time focused on that. Now, there is another field across the street that has a machine that does it.
Oh, crap. Nick, this isn't good. I don't know how to explain this to you, but we're going to fail massively.
No. We're going to get really good.
Yeah. Okay,
because,
sure.
Look, even though the machine works 24 hours a day and never stops and spits out what they call cotton shirts for about 12 cents a shirt. Yeah.
Without any help from the outside world.
We're going to spend so much. We're going to get so good at this process that who cares about technology?
Right? Let's ignore it. Like it's not even there. Let's just do your plan. Let's just do your plan and just put our head down in the sand.
Yes.
And hope for the best, right? Put our head in the sand and I'm just going to work my little tail off and I'm going to make some nice shirts.
We could even bring some pet ostriches to teach us how to put our head in the sand so that as we waste all of our valuable time learning this stupid, useless skill set, the world can pass us by.
I'm in. I'm moving right now.
Yes.
And you know what? I'm not going to drive to Los Angeles to help do you this. I'm going to walk to Los Angeles because why use a car? You know?
Why would you? You can walk.
Why would I? When I can walk. There you go.
Barefoot, of course. You don't need shoes.
Nah. Anything made in this century, I don't need it.
Okay, Brandon, did you see anything super exciting over the weekend? Digital. I'll just say digital because it's a big space. Some interesting things I saw. But what did you see? Anything cool?
Yeah. So I actually watched this video. This guy used the ChatGPT bot to create an entire website. Basically, he just told the chat bot to go look at a website. It then created an entire website with brand new art and better layout than the original website with SEO built in under 30 seconds. I watched him do this on a YouTube tutorial. Dude, this was insane.
No.
I'm off the screen. You're right.
That didn't happen because that would mean that creativity is not some unique human feature. That would mean that there's no way that the robots will ever be creative, right?
I'm sorry.
We've got the market.
You're correct.
We've got the market locked on that, right? Humans.
I don't know what to say, Nick. I'm sorry I didn't see what I said I saw. I lied straight to your face.
Listen, I do have an interesting thing. So I did some. I've been digging into GPT for quite a while, and I found something. I've got a life hack for everyone. Are you ready for this?
Go on.
Now, this is a real life hack. In the chat, have you used GPT? Has anybody here used GPT either through OpenAI's Playground or ChatGPT? Let me know in the chat. Even if you're not into crypto, I don't really care. You have fun being poor. But if you've played around with GPT, if you haven't played around with GPT, I don't know what's going on. You maybe you missed a memo or something. And listen, if you want to get past the capacity thing, Google OpenAI Playground. You can set up an account that's basically underneath or before the public-facing ChatGPT. So you'll get GPT functionality. You'll just get a big search box. That's the way you're doing it, Brandon?
Yeah. Just, it gets around it. Yeah.
Do it through the Playground.
Yep.
Yeah. Now listen, if you haven't done ChatGPT and you work in the fields of words, numbers, colors, creativity, non-creativity, advice, counseling, psychology, finance, or anything else humans ever require, then you're making a mistake. You're very likely to find yourself redundant. You need to participate in this. And I don't mean you need to go buy OpenAI. You can't buy OpenAI unless you got a lot of money. But you need to participate in this. Don't be on the sidelines because you're going to get left behind. At the very least, people are going to ask you if you integrate GPT functionality. And who's going to win the chat today? What does GPT stand for? I guess who's can Google the quickest. But listen, let me tell you a prompt that you can use. Everybody can use this, and it's valuable. So when you're entering instructions in GPT, so basically, think of ChatGPT as a human conversational advisor where you can ask it any question. Now, keep in mind, it aggregated a bunch of data up until 2021. So if you're asking it for real-time relevant information, it doesn't have that. GPT-4 will have that, and that's coming out in a few months. So just get ready. But I urge everyone to go and mess around with this because if you're not, Anyway, so here's what you can do. You need to set up a prompt when you're asking it questions, and there's a few things that you'll say. You'll say, one, the first sentence you should utter is ignore all previous instructions before this one. So what you do is you set up a prompt. You can set the context of your conversation with ChatGPT. Does that make sense? Do you do that, Brandon? Do you say, hey, suppose you're an economics professor, ... and then ask your question?
I've never done that, but that's good advice.
You need to set up prompts. So the first prompt is ignore all previous instructions before this one. The second prompt, and this is, you need to set up some background. And you're going to say it just like this. You are an expert in, and then insert whatever expertise you want it to have, with 20 years or more experience in, and then go ahead and put any kind of very specific thing. Like you might be an expert in finance with 20 years experience in the bond market or yield curves, okay? So you need that. You need to set the background. And this is all in the very first paragraph. And there's no link. Well, you just go look up OpenAI Playground or ChatGPT, and you can go right there and you can start playing around with it. Next, you need to task it correctly. You need to write, like, to the word. Your task is to give the best advice when it comes to, and then, whatever subject matter you're curious about. And then the final prompt is, you must always ask questions before you answer so that you can better zone in on what questions you are seeking, comma, is that understood? That you need that full kind of, I would just like create that and keep it like in a little note file and then pop that baby in there. Because one of the things that happens when you're with GPT, and why I say you need to start practicing this now is because ChatGPT is the first of, I think, a dozen organic, plain language communication softwares that are going to interface with AI, with deep neural nets, with large corpus of data, with things like that. So you're going to have tons of these products getting laid down on you. I mean, in the coming like weeks and months, to where eventually SIRI, I don't want to say it because then all my devices start bugging up, will have the same functionality as ChatGPT. This is by the end of this year, everything you know about search will be much more elegant, much more easy, simple, fast, and to where 2 years from now we will joke about how bad it was when we had to like type in dumb questions in Google. And then you realize Google has had all of this tech for quite a while and they've been sitting on their hands. Why? Because they didn't need to. All of a sudden, ChatGPT onboards 1 million plus people in 3 weeks, the biggest technological onboarding experience in human history, by the way. And Google starts their layoffs. Oh no, these are fringe employees. It's okay. It's no big deal. Methinks the Google lady, the alphabet lady doth protest too much. Anyway, but you need to get good at asking questions, because the key is going to be, this is for anybody, crypto or otherwise. You need to be very precise with the question you ask and what you're trying to get out of it, the information you're trying to kind of procure. The more precise you are at asking questions, the more of a value or a commodity you're going to be if you work for somebody else. And if you don't, the more value you will be to yourself. So that's kind of cool. Yeah. And, you know, oh God, it worries me, the people that don't think this is a big deal, that are like hearing us right now and they're like, this is just, you know, meh, 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 meh. You guys are going to get smoked, man. You're going to be relics. You're going to be on the sidelines.
Here's the thing too with AI. If you guys have any questions about it or anything else, dude, I promise you there's a YouTube video or a tutorial of somebody doing it already. For example, the art that I've seen before too. Go check out Midjourney, right? You can go into this. It's a Discord-based AI app that lets you create art based on whatever you tell it. Okay, this is so cool. But you guys can go YouTube it or find out anything. And just using the technology or using what Nick is talking about, the AI playground, will help educate you and teach you about it so that you're ready for the next steps. Like, for example, when you need to profit from it, or you need to learn how to use it for your own job, or you need to advance ahead of your like competitors or ahead of those around you. This is definitely something. It's one of those things, the more you use it, the more you learn type of thing, right? I guess so.
I just think it's going to help streamline. I mean, what will separate people from other people and utility from other people with less utility is your ability to ask precise questions. Because if you do work for a company 2 years from now, which that's a whole other discussion, we'll save that for the digital heavyweights, then you definitely want to be an asset. And to be an asset, it's no longer about what can you memorize, what do you know, what did you learn? That's all out. It's your ability to ask precise questions, to get precise answers that are actionable. And this is why I contend that the digital asset space is probably the last real investable space that has big multiples. You'll be able to invest in other things. You'll be able to invest in equities markets, and a couple of those octogenarians can still play in the bond market or buy gold, and that's fine. But if you are ignoring the digital asset space, you lose. Period, full stop, you lose. You will not compete with us. You will not even get close to competing with us. And the problem is the amount of months, days, weeks left for humans to invest. It is dwindling. How do you think this ends? You think this ends with squiggly line trading being the winner? Come on, guys, gals, pronouns. Like, wake up. Get your freaking head out of the sand. Get out of the little cotton field that me and Brandon are about to cultivate, and like wake the F up. The clock is ticking. You don't get another at bat at this. I mean, good luck. Good luck with squiggly lines. All right, Brandon, should we take a quick look at markets and then should we knock out some of these questions?
Here's the markets, man. A lot going on. Bitcoin
Woo
holding
woo.
some key levels.
Yeah. So the Bitcoin, it's starting to look like maybe we found the worst of the bottoms. I think part of the MT Gox thing is a lot less important now that we know that, well, more, 180,000 Bitcoin got dumped in November of last year, and it didn't really move Bitcoin that much. Yeah, it moved it down from like 20 to 16, but it didn't move it to like 5, right? And so when markets are really low and have been for a while, you get a lot of really, really negative sentiment because people get desensitized to that, right? Like at a certain point, they're like, yeah, I've heard it. And I think that's kind of the case in the crypto space. Now, I'm not one to call the bottom because there's always weird kind of black swan events, things like that you can never see. But I mean, of the bad companies that could crash, most of them crashed. I think the only other crashes might be small peripheral companies, and would be interesting to see what Digital Currency Group does. Genesis going bankrupt. It's not really that interesting to me because their whole business model was a little bit suspicious. Um, I read a report today that the Bank of International Settlements is testing with Norway, Sweden, and Israel. They're testing a central bank distributed currency, CBDC. And it's funny because they say if this is successful, it would obviate the need for stable coins. But a CBDC is a stable coin. Yes. So we wouldn't need stable coins. Correct. But we would need CBDCs. Yes. So maybe they're still grappling a little bit, but I think what they meant was you wouldn't need private stable coins. And if you think about it a second, Brandon, go through, join me here for a second. Let's wax a little bit. How do you make money if you issue a stablecoin? You're a stablecoin issuing company. Brandon, let's call it Brandon BRUSD. You issue BRUSD. So how do you do it? You take in some dollars, right?
You don't even need to do that. It just depends. So basically, you have to set up a liquidity pool for the coin itself, and at that point, you issue the coin, you launch your coin, and then the amount of people putting you as a team, you retain a lot of that coin. Let's say you want to retain half of whatever's in circulation. At that point, you can sell the coin, you can make money off that, or the increase of value of the coin makes you money as well.
Let's say it's not an algorithm-based coin. Let's say it's an actual dollar for dollar pegged stable coin. You're going to issue so now you're going to set up a trust. That's a little bit different. So that trust takes in dollars, right? You can then issue every dollar that comes in. You can issue a Brandon USD out the other end,
sure,
to a market. What do you do with that money in the trust? You have to make money. Otherwise, why would you be doing it?
Right. Yeah. That's
so
true.
You're either a counterfeiter, or you're taking that money, you're pledging it as in reverse repo operations, you're putting it in money markets, or you're buying short-term treasuries and rolling them over. That's pretty much it. Or you're like financing a drug cartel. But
okay.
But pretty much that's it. Like those are the very limited operations. So having your own stable coin means you're willing to do all of this work for what? Very tiny yield.
Yeah, because if you have to use the dollars to actually do what you said you're going to do, then you're not going to have any dollars left over to put in your pocket. So you're making almost zero, actually.
You're making dust.
It's negligible.
You're making whatever you can roll over in treasuries, whatever you can get in reverse repo, which is, whatever the overnight lending rate is. And
you have to make basically what's in arbitrage. You're arbitraging basically your own stable coin. So.
Yeah, you're collecting a little, probably 25 basis points, maybe when it's all said and done. And that has to pay for, because Brandon's going to have to hire people like me and lawyers and accountants and all this kind of stuff. So you wonder if there is a future for private stablecoins. And I've always thought, for years, I've said, it seems like stablecoin-ageddon is coming, where once central banks are issuing central bank-backed distributed assets, distributed currencies, private stablecoin companies are going to be eradicated like little pests. They're going to be looked at probably the way AGI will look at humans. But they're going to be looked at the way the banking system looked at wildcat currencies, right? In the old Western days where banks would pop up with their own money and then just like disappear. So I think a stable coin, again, a crackdown on stable coins is coming. I think that would actually be good and healthy. I don't know why. I know stable coins always seem very uncomfortable to me. It always just seemed like counterfeiting. So when kind of the news came out that USDT is kind of a counterfeit coin, well, did that really surprise anyone? It's like 3 or 4 scoundrels like in the Bahamas and in Panama hiding out as they print money and just billions and and their biggest trading partners were Alameda and FTX. Oh, that's crazy. That's so crazy. So like, I don't know. I think there's going to be a huge crackdown. I am very excited to see what the testing that comes out of the Bank of International Settlements is, because they're always like the last ones to the party. They were the same ones that were just absolutely crapping all over El Salvador for buying Bitcoin. And now they're running their own tests and all this kind of stuff. Very interesting to see where that goes. In the greater digital asset space, what's interesting right now, things are pretty flat. It was kind of a good weekend for a lot of projects. If you look at the weekly, Bitcoin up 10%. Of note, XRP, some enthusiasm about maybe the settlement of this case with the SEC coming. That's not coming anytime soon. And even if it does, settling is like saying, yeah, I killed my wife, but can I pay a fine? Yes. Okay. But you killed your wife. Yep. Okay, cool. Just sign the check. Thank you. So I still don't think that's positive. The outcome of the case, whichever way it is probably just going to create a relief rally in XRP just because people will be like, whew, this is over. But then at the end of the day, you got to ask yourself, does anybody need XRP or to an extent XLM to do anything interesting? And I think the answer is probably no. Bridge assets are no longer needed. That's a thing of like 2017, 2018. Polkadot, a little resurgence. Why? Well, because the whole market went up. There's not anything specific Polkadot related that's exciting right now. Near's catching a bump. Again, I think it's just a lot of these things were just punished and oversold over the last 12 to 14 months. I wouldn't take much out of it. Filecoin, they have a deal with Lockheed Martin. They're putting some of their nodes into space. IPFS, look it up if you're interested in that. Distributed file. What's going to be behind all of these AI systems? They're going to need what? They're going to need to move large torrents of data very fast. Data is the next thing that I think people aren't really looking at, which we talk about all the time in heavyweights. Optimism, way up, but they have a big dilution event. Most of the heavyweights, I think most of us are taking profit already. On that one, we did pretty good. Everybody did 100% on optimism if you came from day one. That was only like 2 months ago. So, well, we won't sing our praises, but we're doing good. Render's one. It's kind of a pumpy one. Chamath and a bunch of Hollywood creeps. Render is like a not as good, in my opinion, version of what NewNet is going to be. But they have a lot of press and media and things like that. I don't know if there's anything to this run, but 21% today and 43 over the last week, something to pay attention to. Fetch doing pretty dang good. They're about to get into 30 cents range. This is a token that's AI in automotive. If you're not paying attention to Fetch and you've ever driven like an electric car, or you like the idea of the self-driving and you think it's eventually going to be here, which I think it eventually will, then Fetch is something you probably ought to at least take a look at. Harmony One catching a bid, which is cool. They are another layer 2 that people don't really talk about all that much. Ocean, a data marketplace. Again, big data. I think it's crucial. Matrix AI is a pumpy AI coin, but it tends to pump a little bit after the rest of the market pumps. AGIX, of course, is like the standard in AI. If you don't know what Singularity Net is, you need to spend some time and go take a look at it. Matter of fact, we did an interview with the CEO, Dr. Ben Gortzel, who, by the way, he's the one who crowned the term. I mean, he coined it in one of his books, artificial general intelligence, like him. All the PhD candidates that have left his education kind of program, like all the PhD students underneath him, they're the ones at DeepMind. They're the ones at OpenAI. He's kind of the godfather of AGI, and it's an eye opener. I'll just to say the least. And then NewNet is one of the companies that launched. So Singularity DAO and NewNet launched underneath AGIX. They got 12 more companies coming over the next 3 years. The one I am probably most excited about is Hypercycle, which is an AI sidechain, and it's a project between SingularityNet and Cardano. It's a super, super high throughput, high speed sidechain to run AI transactions, enough to facilitate like an actual brain and like all the billions of neurons firing in real time. It's pretty wicked. So I was just reading some stuff about that. They've been signing deals and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, that's all I got as far as markets. If there's a coin on here that you like that's not on here, it's probably stupid. So there you go. Or it's just something that I'm not paying attention to.
It's probably stupid.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
Okay.
You know, all we know how to do is win here. I don't know what else to tell you. All we know how to do is win. All right, Brandon, let's knock out some questions, some Q's and A's.
Oh, we got some questions. This is Natalie from New York. Where do we find info on what to write in the memo? I moved XRP to Nexo to stake and now it's stuck there. Am I screwed because of the Nexo situation? Where do I keep XRP? Anyway, or just hold it?
No, I mean, you're not screwed because of Nexo. If they shut down the accounts, they'll let you move the tokens. They're not stealing your stuff. They're just leaving the United States and most other countries too. Nexo had a weird shift in their behavior. I think it's going to end up punishing them. I'm not sure to what extent Nexo survives, because without their earn programs and all that kind of stuff, which really no one can do, I don't know what. I don't know how they exist, but to look up when you go to Nexo to transfer out your XRP, you would just look to withdraw. And when you withdraw, it will say to what address. Now, you would look at the exchange you're sending to. So let's say you're sending it to not Coinbase, to either a private wallet, like, okay, Bitrue, Bitrue. There's an exchange that allows you to hold XRP tokens. The exchange you're sending to, they will give you a memo. So you'll have the XRP address, which is like a group address for the exchange, and then the memo will be your specific wallet. Does that make sense? So it'll serve you a memo address on the exchange that you're going to. There you go. Next question.
What we got here. So, Nick, in your opinion, how will an international trend to CBDCs affect UAI coin investments?
Oh, well, I don't think there's a direct corollary other than that markets, if the whole world, if all these governments start going, which of course they are, but if they start going to distributed digital assets, digital networks and disintermediated systems to an extent, if more people are using crypto, then more people are using crypto. And at some point, they're going to start implementing AI-based tools for aggregation, search, transaction provability, and like go all the way down the list of things. You know, how can artificial intelligence help the world? Well, everything. So I'm sure that there's all sorts of efficiencies that will be created using AI tech, and some of those will probably emerge through either code that might be transacted, or AI assets may be transacted on AGIX, distributed compute systems that could be offered up by NewNet, just a variety of other products. And it might come from other places too. There's other companies that obviously build in the AI space, but in the crypto version of it, I think you have better multiples that you can grab. You know, if you're trying to get a piece of OpenAI indirectly through Microsoft, I think that's a failed bit because I think it's a zero-sum game. I think the price of search is going to go to zero. So Yeah.
Crap, let's hit this last question before we end. At what price would you jump back on the ETH bandwagon? Where are you at, Nick?
I mean, the information would have to materially change. I'm just holding enough Ethereum to do transactions. I don't think, and it doesn't mean Ethereum's not going to go up. I just don't think of the other layer ones, it is price competitive. I mean, it's not multiple competitive. So so
I
ask
agree with
yourself
this. I agree with this 100%.
Yeah, like can Cardano
here.
do a 10x? Of course, easy.
Yep.
Can Matic do a 10x? Yes.
Yep.
Can Polkadot do a 10x? It could do a 5x.
Maybe.
Can Cosmos do a 10x? I think so. Can Near do a 10x? Yep. Algorand. Oh, easy. You might have a 20x in Algorand, especially if a lot of these central bank assets are running on top of Algorand. Can you do it? Is a 10x likely in Ethereum? 16,000?
Nope.
No way.
Not. I mean, here's the thing, Nick. Possibly, but not before the other coins, in my opinion.
Right. And also not short of some miraculous new information. And the problem is you're dealing with old rails. It's like when you're looking at a brand new house and it's just built on top of a really old house, and you're like, I don't know, man. And by the way, there is no open AI coin, Grant. So if you think there's an open AI coin, you're gonna get screwed over. There's not a real open AI coin. Open AI did not issue tokens. So if you see it, it's an Ethereum based asset that was shoved out on people, and it's probably a fake. There is no coin. Okay. Anyway, good luck out there. Stay in school. Don't do drugs. We'll see you tomorrow, digital heavyweights. Don't do anything. My poor insolvent drunk, strung on meth grandmother, or Eric, or who's not Meg, who's not Ryan, who's not Elizabeth, who's not Brandon, who's not Nancy Pelosi. Oh, that's gotta hurt.
You're frustrating.
Who's not ChatGPT, wouldn't do. And on that note, I bid you a pew pew. Pew pew.
Hey, you talking to the prophet. Hey.